Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ellie Feldman. I will be your cruise director today. I'm happy to say you don't get to listen to me talk today. I have brought in my partner in cybercrime, Brad Shrum, who will be walking us through ransomware details, specifics, and how to talk to customers. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you, Ellie. Good to be here. And good morning, everybody. I thought I'd get started today. I like humor, but it's serious humor. It's the internet of ransomware things. Basically, anything today can be held for ransom. And you'll see here a bunch of people in the kitchen where everybody's getting ransomed. So start off with some fun this morning.
Tell us a little bit about where ransomware fits in the larger cybercrime world.
Yeah, what we wanted to do here was show everybody, and I think all of you know this, how important cyber has become and the issues related to cyber. And you'll see here some statistics that are going on in the cyber world and the losses that are occurring. And what we're going to do today is drill down into ransomware, which is running rampant.
Guys, if you have any questions, please type them into the questions box. You can download the slides from today and one of our handouts on the screen in front of you. And if you need anything, just let us know.
Great. Well, again, another slide for you. And this is pretty serious. We think it's time for you to come and sit at the big kids table, and you'll see cybersecurity where people took it very lightly in the past. The board of directors or owners of companies are saying today that you're our number one issue. Because if we can't control the cyber, we may not even be around to even worry about it. So again, just another little comic strip for you to see. Now, it's getting so serious that you'll see here on October the 2nd, there was a public service announcement by the FBI and how ransomware attacks are threatening U.S. businesses and organizations of all sizes. And you could read through this, but it really doesn't matter if you are a two-person shop up to a multi-billion Fortune 500 or 100 company. They're coming for you. So the FBI has just recently released this, and it tells you just how serious ransomware has become.
So, all right, Brad, you've effectively scared us all. What is ransomware?
Yep. And what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you what ransomware is and then tell you what extortion, because there is a difference. Ransomware is a type of malware that locks a computer system down until the victim pays the extortioner for the key code to unlock the device, or really encryption code. It says, while some internet criminals try to fly below the surface, stealing data without you realizing it, ransomware is overt. The hackers telling you in plain language that they've encrypted your system and they want money, and really they want Bitcoin. Just remember that it's the Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is not traceable by any means.
All right, so then what's this extortion that's different?
Yeah, there's a difference. Now we'll define this, and then extortion is demanding a good or service or payment to prevent a violent destruction, prevent violence or destruction of property. And that's really what it is, and you can read the rest of it. Now, the difference between what extortion and ransomware, very simply, extortion in the base policy is a credible threat of an attack, whereas ransomware is an attack to collect ransom. So please understand the difference, and we'll go through why that is important as we move on.
Yeah, I would just interject one thing there.
Sure.
there are a lot of insurance policies and a lot of different language amongst those insurance policies. Both or one of these words could be in an insurance policy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that both are covered. And so you have to make sure that both are covered. And so looking for both the threat of a cyber attack being covered as well as an actual ransom demand being covered is vitally important.
So just distinguish between the two, that extortion means something different than ransomware. Thanks, Ellie.
Okay, so how does ransomware work?
Well, you'll see here, and it's kind of a busy slide, but you'll see how it does work. You receive an affected file, and then it goes in, and then you'll see without the key, all the files on your computer are locked. And then you'll see on the left-hand side, they're going to demand Bitcoin, and if you don't pay, the encrypted files are lost. And if you pay, they usually release the encryption key, and it tells you what the cost of some ransomware attacks. But you see how simple it is. And actually, it's gotten so simple, and some of you have may seen on 60 Minutes or other programs, that they actually have programs out there that if you want to go out and buy or rent a program, you can ransomware other people if you want. So it's gotten pretty scary from that. But this just gives you an idea of the anatomy of a ransomware attack. And it really all begins with you receiving an infected file, which we'll get into in a little bit down the road here.
All right, so tell us a little bit about the impact of ransomware today.
Well, it is Halloween, or we're getting close, so I thought I'd scare everybody with this. Uh, the average cost of a ransomware attack is about $133,000 and rising. Ransomware attacks have increased over 97% in the last 2 years. A new organization will be hit every 14 seconds and will increase every 11. You'll see the average downtime is 9.6 days. So here you have a ransomware attack, and the next thing you know, your business is hurting. The industries targeted are professional and healthcare and consumer and real estate, but we would tell you every business is at risk. The one thing about ransomware is if you have a computer, you're at risk. And ransomware is costing businesses about 75 billion per year. So those are pretty scary statistics, and those are rising very rapidly, Ellie.
Yeah. Guys, in honor of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is this month, data and statistics like these are great for your social media channels, your Facebook page, things like that. Email blast out to your customers, and every 14 seconds is an accurate number. That's how often people are getting hit. So go to town, use this data.
Yep. And we help you with that data, as you'll see here. We developed a brochure that you can use and put your label on it and give this to your potential or current clients about ransomware. I'd like to focus in on ransomware because it affects everybody, and everybody in today has heard of some type of ransomware attack. So you can use this. Go ahead, Ellie.
Sorry, and I would also add that the common objections of my credit card company or my internet service provider or my IT guy has promised me this isn't going to happen, none of those work when it comes to ransomware. Ransomware is non-discriminatory. It doesn't come in from a vendor. It comes into you personally because you clicked on something or you opened an email you shouldn't have. And there's not much you can do. There's very few ways you could have known. But it will help you overcome a lot of common objections.
Yep. Thank you.
And this is available for download on your screen.
Yes.
Okay. So talk about some of the financial impacts of a ransomware attack.
Yeah, a lot of people today think, well, I just pay the ransom and I'm all done. So I've just paid 10,000, 20,000, whatever the number may be. But there's a lot more than that. Beside the ransomware payment, you have the business income from the reduction or shutdown of your business. We're going to show you some examples. And like we said, the average number of down days is 9.6, but that can range from 9.6 to going out of business. Your reputation could be harmed. So if it comes out in the public and now nobody wants to come to your store or place of business because you've had a ransomware attack, it may ruin your reputation. You have a potential for liability claims that maybe a third party has gotten in there and taken information about the clients. And as we said, it could shut down your business for good.
Yeah, that's a lot. So what do you do if you think, or more likely know, that that a ransomware attack is happening?
Well, first and foremost, we highly suggest, and I'm sure you do as well, is to have an insurance policy. Now, if you're insured with Wingman and Access Insurance, is immediately have your client call the breach hotline. Before you, as the broker agent, report the claim to the carrier, you have your client call the breach hotline. It is so important, particularly in ransomware claim events. The breach coach takes over and works with the client. They don't, I mean, works with the client. They don't work with us or you. They directly work with the client. And the next thing the breach coach does is they get various professionals involved, which include forensics. And forensics, or IT forensic, gets involved because they want to make sure that the ransom is for real. Can they unlock the encryption? Can they see that it's for real and that they have to pay? They may get law enforcement involved because when you start paying Bitcoin, they need law enforcement involved to make sure they're not paying a terrorist organization. And the insurance company, not you nor the client, negotiates directly with the hackers. Hackers do negotiate. It's funny, but they do. And sometimes they're going to take less money or cryptocurrency. 99.9% of the claims are paid with cryptocurrency. If your insured doesn't have a policy and they've got to pay with cryptocurrency, the clock starts ticking. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to open a Bitcoin account, and it gets very complex. And most important is have the insurance company work with the client to get them back online as soon as possible.
Okay, so we've thrown a lot of information at you. Let's throw some real world examples to talk to clients about.
Yeah.
Tell us about doctors.
Oh yeah, doctors are they are a big target of hackers. You'll read here, and these are real stories. These are not fake stories. We're not making these up. And Battle Creek medical practice is being forced to shut down after cyber attackers wiped out its files with the firm who refused to pay a ransomware claim. And you can read this where it says, while the FBI does not condone the practice of paying a ransom, and the majority of those do not pay, there have been several incidents lately where victims have given in and paid in order to get back in business. And we'll talk about that, but why do they pay? Or why do insurance companies pay? One, to get the insured back online, and two, people want to know about the encryption keys. The hackers do release the encryption keys because they want to make themselves relevant. Because if they didn't release the encryption key, why would anybody pay? So they do pay, and they do release the encryption key. But this is a good example of a medical practice that had to fold after a ransomware attack. And we've been hearing a lot about that in the last few months.
Well, and look, this is maybe 18 months old, this example, just 18 months, not that long ago, and the ransom demand was $6,500. You know, I would say the same example today, the ransom demand would be $500,000. They've gotten very brazen because people are starting to buy insurance because they can, and data is really important. And they've watched these examples of these companies folding, and it's truly fascinating.
Yes.
All
And
right,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the takeaways from this example: the monetary demands may be small, but the fallout is huge, as everyone saw. And exactly what Ellie said, that the demands have risen drastically in the last probably 6 months. Sometimes, in fact, they often paying the ransom can be the best play. A good cyber insurer will pay the ransom when it makes sense to do so, and a good cyber policy would have walked this company through its options and helped them make a more prudent decision. And that's why the breach coach is so critical in this whole process. That's how it works there.
And here's a time where it's prudent to talk about the difference between a BOP policy and a standalone cyber guys. A BOP policy, in all likelihood, doesn't have full ransomware coverage. They don't have reward coverage. They're not going to necessarily have a breach coach. And these are really, because of the evolving nature of what these cyber crimes look like, those are the most vital pieces of a policy at this point.
Yep.
All right, give us some more examples.
Yeah, and a business in Ohio reportedly paid a $75,000 ransom in Bitcoin to unlock its data. The ransomware was discovered on June 10th when a manager received a fax demanding a ransom to unlock its computer systems, which were encrypted. They contracted an IT firm, which used a third party to pay the ransom to hackers, and told the police the hackers went so deep in the system it took them until Wednesday, June 12th, to access the systems. They lost between 30 and 50,000 per day as a result of the attack.
All right, tell us more. Keep going.
Yeah, Texas. This is recent, probably 4 weeks ago. 22 cities and towns were hit with a ransomware attack at the same time. The demand was about 2.5 million. Examples of what was affected was the birth and death certificates, inability to pay utilities online, and the breach came from an IT contractor who worked with many of the municipalities, and they're still determining some of the costs. Another big example. I was born and raised in Baltimore, and I'm sure everybody on this line has probably heard about what's happened in Baltimore with their ransomware attack. Instead of paying $77,000 in Bitcoin, they ended up with over a $20 million loss.
And look, you live in Florida. There were a number of cities and towns in Florida that got hit with ransomware. And you might be asking yourself, everyone, maybe it's just really targeting municipalities. And yes, but also you can't hide it if it's a municipality, because the entire area is going online to pay their water bill and they can't do it. It's a lot easier for some small businesses to hide the fact that they have or are currently under a ransomware attack, whereas a municipality can't hide it. So as state data privacy laws become stronger, as people have cyber insurance, we'll start to see stronger numbers better representing what the actual populace looks like and how frequently these things are happening.
Yes, and this was the Baltimore that they should have paid. So that was a disaster. So
yeah,
that's the Baltimore one example.
All right, tell us what a good cyber policy looks like to make sure that everything that they need is covered.
Yes, thanks, Al. First, as we emphasize, the breach hotline, gotta have it. I think everybody's aware of it. It is on our site under tools, and also in every client's policy, it will be there as well. Please, please, please have them call that hotline first before anything else is done. You want a carrier who is responsive. The policy should be written with the carrier handling the claim. Some insurance companies will write the policy and then they contract it out to a third party. Access writes the policy, admitted, and then handles the claims directly. Fortunately, our experience with them has been excellent in handling claims. Speed is key.
Really is.
Yeah, we talked about the difference between ransomware and extortion. Please make sure that your policy has both. We at Wingman do have both, but there's some policies that only cover extortion. And like Ellie said, in BOP policies, they don't cover ransomware at all. Another big statistic, over 75% of claims that are occurring in the cyber world are first party claims. They're not even third party anymore. And that is driven by ransomware and social engineering. Make sure the carrier has the ability to pay in cryptocurrency. You get some of these BOP policies, and the BOP policies don't have somebody who can handle a claim to pay in cryptocurrency. And make sure the policy includes direct and contingent business income coverage, which Access policy does.
Okay, now let's give everybody, let's arm them with, what to tell clients, how to keep them safe.
Yeah, thanks, Al. Couple things. Back up your systems locally and in the cloud, and make sure they're not on the same network. If they're not, you can reduce the potential to be totally shut down.
Can you elaborate on that? Why? Because the backup would also have the virus on it if they're on the same system.
You're correct, right? That it could be on the same system. And please, we've seen that a few times already, that it's all on the same, they're backing up on the same network, Ellie, and it's getting infected as well. Segment network access, limit what the hackers can access. I'm no technology genius, but try to segment what's really critical and what's not. Early threat detection systems. So you get a little pop-up to say there may be an infection or there's something going on. Obviously install antiviral and ransomware software, run frequency scans, train employees and educate yourself, which we'll talk about in a minute, and always think before clicking. Real important. This, people tells me, is the most effective slide that we have. If you'll see, in the left-hand side is data security, and in the right-hand side, we have firewalls, encryption, antivirus. We have everything. But see the little man on the right, it says human error. That's where it all happens. We can have all the great stuff, but if someone clicks on that email and it has a malware on it, we're done. So you got to be very, very careful of human error, because that's where it all begins and ends. You'll hear IT managers all the time say, we are hacker proof, which is just not true. But what they cannot control is human being. And that is where the weakest link is. Okay. Now, how can we help you and how can we help your clients? Access is offering to you and to your clients the Cyber Risk Aware program. And these are modules to help train individuals at the company to help them reduce the potential to click and download phishing emails. And you just have to be super careful. But training is available for your clients, and they would just sign up for that and we can take you through that. But we do have training available for them. Okay.
Question.
Yeah, you
All
have
right,
some
we've got a couple questions coming in, and guys, if you have questions, please type them onto your screen. I'll pose them to Brad as we go along. So the first question comes from Jessica, and she wants to know, why is it important that a carrier handles the claims personally?
Well, I think it gives you a seamless approach. It allows us to have one contact. The carrier understands their forms. They can interpret them. They can talk to their underwriters directly. It's just more of a seamless approach versus having a third party involved or a TPA. I just think it's a much smoother process where you have the carrier who writes the business, handles the claims, and if we have an issue, we have certainly less people to talk to. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that, Ellie?
Well, I would say it prevents certain conflicts of interest if a claims carrier is paid in a way that doesn't, that isn't about speedy outcomes, but rather is hourly or something like that. It can be difficult. And I would also say that um, we've watched firsthand when a claim comes in, the decision maker on the phone with the breach coach saying, yes, I authorize X amount of payment. And those were the only two people that needed to be involved to get it done as swiftly as possible. And that's really the biggest thing. The more hands in the pot, the harder it is. The harder it is to get decisions made.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, Marion wants to know if you guys can have access to all of these resources and data and statistics. Marion, you can download the slides. They're from a good number of different sources, not least of which being the Verizon Data Security Breach Report, Cyber Scout's most recent breach report. So there's lots of different data in there. If you are looking for a specific source and are having trouble finding it on Google, just let us know and we'll figure out how to do that. But all of the content is available from today's slides are available for you to download.
We also have another question, the difference between first and third party. Very good question. First party is when it happens to you, to your company. Third party means it happens to others. Meaning, and for example, a ransomware attack is going to happen to you, whereas if there's a breach of records of our insured, the plaintiff is going to be the third party. So hopefully that makes sense. I kind of look at it like personal lines and say first party is damage to your house, and third party is if someone slips and falls coming into your house. Does that make sense, Ellie? I don't know.
Third party manifests itself in two ways in a cyber policy. The first is any lawsuits from a third party. So that would be your claims made coverages for either a data breach or, because you've lost their data and they're suing you, or a regulatory issue where you didn't notify the state of North Carolina that you had a data breach and you had to, and the state of North Carolina is basically suing you. The second way that third party manifests in a cyber policy is in business interruption coverage. So you have your business income based on your systems, but if you don't own those systems and operate those systems, it makes it very difficult to recover. But a good cyber policy is going to cover both the systems that you own and the systems that you use that are not owned by you. And to follow up with that, do most policies cover first and third party? The answer to that is not really, no. Old school cyber policy, they'll have some coverages for each. Old school cyber policies are going to be, it's going to say like liability coverage 100,000, notification expenses 100,000. So that's both. So the third party is the liability. Somebody sues you. The first party is going to be the notification expenses, what costs you incur to let people know that you've had a data incident. A great cyber policy is going to have full-blown both of those, including business interruption for first and third party, as well as all the other first and third party coverages.
The other statistic, as I mentioned, about 75% of the claims are first party today, not third party. So keep that in mind. And we're seeing the statistics that we've recently seen, about 70% of cyber is purchased on a monoline basis, meaning a wingman versus adding it to a BOP. I personally would not rely on any of the BOP coverages for cyber at all. I just think it's dangerous to rely on that, as that's going to be your coverage. Okay.
So the last question that's just come in, and guys, keep them coming. If you have them, we can always reach out to you after with answers. Is the business income for third party claims covered? Yes, it is. technically speaking, business income is a first party coverage because it's your lost income. It's just coming from outside of, the house, if you will.
Right.
The cause of it, the cause of loss is from outside the house, but the actual lost income is yours. So it's technically a first party coverage. I hope that answers that question. If not, give me a call and we can talk more about it.
But a third party could sue for the loss of business income they have.
Correct.
Yep.
So any more questions about ransomware, about what the Wingman policy and how it covers ransomware, let us know. Otherwise, thank you, Brad, for joining us.
Yeah.
You're
Thank you.
tremendously knowledgeable, and it's really nice to get that knowledge into the hands of everybody else. Stay tuned for our next webinar series next month. If you have topics you want to hear about, please let me know. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to give me or Brad a call. We really appreciate your business and look forward to writing more with each and every one of you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.